Hey, I'm Chris F from Make Everything, and it is an exciting day at the shop. I finally got my Wazer water jet. This is a small shop sized, self-contained water jet machine, and it is amazing. I'm gonna do an unboxing, a setup, and my first impressions. Check it out. Okay, so a little bit of background before we get started. This is the Wazer. This was released on Kickstarter in 2016, back in September, so about 20 months ago. I bought mine in the first batch, and I just waited for it. They did a lot of internal testing. I watched and followed along on Kickstarter like a lot of other makers did, wondering, if it was ever gonna come out. I reached out to the company not that long ago and got to talking to them, and actually wound up beta testing this machine maybe 3 months ago. I had it for 2 weeks and I did a lot of cutting with it. The product is amazing. I had a test machine and even that was totally unbelievable. To get my machine, I actually went out to the Wazer assembly facility in Brooklyn, New York, and I was able to go through the place. I got to meet a lot of the people from the crew over there. I got to watch machines being made. The people there really care about the product. They really care about producing something that is of the utmost quality, and I got to see that firsthand. It was really awesome to watch these things being made. The setup on this is really straightforward. I'm gonna walk through the whole thing. I'm gonna do some test cuts and hopefully answer some questions along the way. Anyway, let's get right into getting this thing out of the box and getting it set up. All right, so the manual that they give you the machine is super comprehensive. There's tons of color photos in it, and actually the paper is waterproof, which I thought was awesome. I decided to start with the pump box assembly. It was a little easier for me to get it onto the table. I just took it out of the package and got the plastic off of it. Now there's not really much to do for the pump box. You have to replace an oil plug that is basically in there for shipping, and you have to replace it with a vent cap. So I just went ahead and took off the cover and then was looking for the cap. Looks like I need some parts from this out of the main box. Turns out the cap is in the main box with the rest of the spare parts. So you can see everything's packaged really well. I was really impressed with that. It's a really robust machine. It's got these heavy aluminum frames around it, but still to have all this heavy foam and thick cardboard was nice. And everything is really well organized within the box. All the bags and stuff are labeled, and it's really easy to find the parts that you need. And there are little tools too. There was a little wrench for the shipping plug for the oil, which was awesome because I didn't even have to go looking for a wrench. Everything was all right there, which I thought was really nice. So getting the oil plug off and getting the vent cap on, I could put the cover back on the pump box, and all I had to do was put a couple thumb screws back in, and that was good to go. Something I really like about this machine is how many spare parts and stuff they give you. So they give you oil for the pump, which gets changed every 300 hours. These are clips to put the water lines onto the wall with zip ties, extra water filters, extra screws to hold down material, nozzle tips, O-rings, the nozzle front, the depth thing, another hose for the abrasive, and some fuses. That's really awesome that the company provides you with these parts so that you don't have to say oh man, I lost an O-ring and wait a week. For a company to supply this, it's of minimal expense to them and huge convenience for the client. So good up on that. Now I decided to put my pump box on a dolly just so that I could more easily move it around because it's kind of heavy, and I put it in a position where I can't really move it around. And I'm just hooking up the water inline, and I'm taking the high pressure water line and running it behind the desk and hooking it up to the back of the unit. So there, I'm just hooking up the power cord as well, and I haven't plugged anything in yet. I'm just waiting to get everything set up. And here's the main unit. It wound up being too heavy for me to get up onto the table by myself, so I had to have somebody come and help, but I was able to get the plastic off. And once it was up on the table, I could continue with my connections. I'm just looking around inside to make sure that I didn't lose anything or drop anything in there. Nothing fell. And taking off all the little pieces of shipping tape. They did a really good job of packing it similarly how they would pack a printer with these easy to remove pieces of tape that keep things from moving around and make sure that nothing gets damaged. This is the drain line that I'm installing now, and it's just a PVC line. It pressure fits in and it goes out through a hole in the window. And with that installed, I can just make sure that all my connections are good. There's a little smart cable that goes in the back of the pump box that allows the machine to control it, and I can put the side cover back on and plug the machine in. At this point, I haven't given anything any power yet. So the machine requires a couple of things, and I just sort of check through the list. And one of the things, the last thing on the list, is to fill the whole body with water. So it takes like 15 gallons of water. I just used a 5-gallon bucket and took me like 3 or 4 trips from the hose to fill it up. And the water acts like a backstop for the nozzle as it's pushing through the material. So the water kind of bubbles up and keeps the water from spraying around the machine. It also makes the machine really heavy. So all that water plus its weight brings it up to about 300 pounds. I hooked up the water line and I started going through the cut procedure. Okay, so we got the machine filled with water, and now we're gonna try and do the test cut. All right, so select the cut file, welcome cut, prepare the machine, lift nozzle, clear of cut bed obstructions. Okay. Nozzle's clear, press OK. It's alive. Now this piece of aluminum was on the machine, so it looks like they've already got it set up to cut, so I'll go through filling it up and getting this going. So the process of filling the machine up with garnet is really straightforward. You open up this drawer and there are 2 spots with screens that you pour the garnet through. The machine comes with 110 pounds of garnet when it's shipped, and then the rest of it can be purchased directly from Wazer, either by the bucket or by the pallet, which is a lot more cost effective. Then the last thing you've got to do is just set this nozzle height using the spacer and the knob. Just takes a couple seconds, and I'm just removing some excess tape that I forgot. All right, so I did all the prompts, and now it's giving me the option to cut material, dry run, or check cut extents. We're just going to cut the material and see what happens. Close the door. All right, here we go. So once you close the door, it activates a switch that allows the machine to know it's safe to work. The machine won't work with the door open, which keeps your hands away from potentially getting blasted, which would be really bad. The first thing the machine does is it pierces the material, so you hear a loud noise, and then it actually gets quieter once the stream of water and garnet is through the material. Now this cut took about 15 minutes, and the speed varies based on the type of material and the thickness, but the machine calculates all that out for you and actually gives you an estimate of how long the cut's going to take in their software on their website. Overall, this cut worked out really nice, and the quality is amazing. It's really impressive to see it cut material like this without leaving any really severe marks, and super, super accurate. All right, first cut is complete. Let's take a look. Now that that's all done, I can just remove the part and take a closer look at it. Okay, so you can see we've got our finished cut, and I can free this from the piece and clean it up and see how it looks. All right, so here's the part freed up. So here, this little area was where the tab was. So I'll bring you in close on this and you can see the cut quality, but it's really good, and the clarity is awesome, and it's just really an amazing piece of equipment. So looking at the part, you can see there are some burrs on the backside where the pierce came through, but I found that sanding that just flat removes all those burrs and really gives you a nice surface finish around the whole thing. All right, that about does it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I am really excited to get this thing integrated into my workflow. I have tons of ideas already running around my head for things that I want to do with this machine. You know, like I said, full disclosure, I did also beta test the Wazer. So a couple months ago, I had it for about 2 weeks, and in that time, I was using a test machine. And while it did look very similar to this, the functionality on this one is even better. The other component to the Wazer hardware package is their software. So on their website, they have a CAM software that you import your design files to. It has a whole database of materials. It does the cut times. It gives you an abrasive usage. It'll even give you like total time estimates. It's really powerful, and it's a really amazing complement to an already really, really powerful machine. So Thanks so much to the guys at Wazer. It was really amazing to work with them and get inside and ask them questions. And that's the next thing. If you guys have questions, ask me in the comments down below. I talked a lot to the people at Wazer today. I asked them a lot of questions that I had that I thought viewers would also have, so hopefully I can answer them. Don't forget to check out the Wazer on their website. All the details are down below. If you get one, make sure to tell them that I sent you. That would be awesome. If you want to see behind the scenes footage about what I'm doing over here at the shop, pictures and stuff like that, follow us on Instagram at MakeEverythingShop. I've got a lot of projects for this machine coming up. The next one is something I'm really excited about, so be sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again.